In the lead up to GE13, both Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Rakyat have released their visions for Malaysia in the form of their manifestos. Pakatan Rakyat has promised, among other things, an end to corruption and racial discrimination, as well as free education.
Dan untuk pesawat-pesawat padi, kesuasaan bernas untuk syarikat kroni, untungnya bilion ringgit dalam beberapa tahun ini, tetapi penanam padi tidak mendapat manfaat. Kita berombak perjanjian supaya penanam padi mendapat manfaat.
Barisan Nasional's People First Teamed Manifesto has also offered greater security, improved public transport and big incentives.
Dalam buku ini, dalam aku janji ini, jumlah BRIM akan dinaikkan lagi. Secara beransur-ansur hinggalah kepada 1,200.
So will either coalition be able to make good on all their promises, or should Malaysians take the manifestos with a pinch of salt? Kini Talk spoke to Wan Saiful Wanjan, the chief executive of independent think tank, the Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs, to find out. So generally, in terms of policies that benefit certain races over the others and fulfilling quotas, how have both Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Rakyat addressed these in their manifestos?
I think this is one area where Pakatan is doing quite well, because they have stuck to the principle that they do not want to go on an ethnic-based policy. Or ethnic-based policy system. So if you look at Barisan's manifesto, they have promises there in which they will create a new not create a new ministry, but they will assign the responsibility of looking after non-Muslim affairs to administer the Prime Minister's department. There are also specific promises made to different ethnic groups. In particular, this time they're making promises to the Indian community. I think this is an approach that has worked. It will work in order to get votes, but it is one that should not continue in the future. So if you want to win votes for this time, yes, but promising this will get you the votes. But if you're thinking about the future of the country in the long term, what you're promising now is wrong. So in this area, I think Pakatan is doing well. They are saying that they're not going to talk on ethnic base. Based on ethnicities, they will treat things on merit, and that's the way forward.
What about religion? I know that Pakatan's manifesto has said that they will respect Islam as the official religion of Malaysia, and I think Barisan Nasional says something to that effect.
Well, but you see, to me, I think religion is a personal matter. I do not need a state or government or minister to tell me what I believe in, what I can believe in, what is the official belief system. I am a Muslim. I think I'm good enough to be a Muslim without any minister telling me what is the right interpretation of Islam. So generally speaking, I don't like the idea that politicians are discussing about religion. That's none of their business. But the reality of Malaysian politics today is, in order to get into power, in order to assure people that they're not going to make some radical changes, they need to say certain things. And I think both sides are doing this. Barisan is saying they will respect Islam, they will help promote Islam, they will strengthen the institution Islam. Pakatan is saying the same thing. So both sides are quite similar in this. So I suppose, if you listen to the last 10-15 minutes we have been talking, I think really the two manifestos are quite similar in what they're promising. It's just a tone, the language that's slightly different.
All right. And just finally, quickly, because this is an issue that's of great concern, especially in Selangor, the issue of crime and security. So what do you think, how have these two coalitions addressed these issues of crime and security?
Well, it's difficult to really ascertain how they're going to do certain things. Both coalitions are saying we will reduce crime, we will address this issue, we will address that issue. You look at BN's manifesto, for example, it's pages and pages of bullet points with no explanation of how they're going to do it. Pakatan is a bit better in the sense that they do elaborate a little bit on how they will address those issues. All I can say is, if we look just at the two manifestos, the two documents that we have in front of us, then what we will find is they are making promises without explaining how to do it. But both are promising they will reduce crime and help make us feel safer. I suppose in this case, this is where Barisan has a slight advantage. Or maybe not slight advantage, maybe quite a big advantage actually, because they have the machinery of government to help them. You know, when they talk about reducing crime, when they talk about ensuring safety on street level, they have all this NKRA, all this pemandu documents to help them. So they have the government machinery to back up their claims and their plans. But Pakatan is disadvantaged because they're not in government. They do not have the government machinery to use or abuse, and we just have to take the promises that they make at face value. But I think, to be fair to both, we don't really have a choice. We have to take the promises that they make at face value, and then judge whoever we vote for, in the coming election.
Based on that, and just finally, Pakatan has made a lot of promises in terms of corruption, and they're saying that they will eradicate corruption and by then help fund a lot of their programs. How has Barisan Nasional responded to this in their own manifesto?
You see, Barisan has been, under Najib especially, the government, Barisan government, has been trying to, has been doing quite a lot to eradicate corruption. We need to appreciate that, and we have to acknowledge that. In fact, we did a study in ideas on the efforts to eradicate corruption over the last 20-30 years, and quite a lot has been done, to the extent that there have been a lot of duplications as well. So we must acknowledge that a lot has been done. The challenge faced by Barisan Nasional is they have a legacy issue. They may want to eradicate corruption, but the people who are corrupt is working from that system that they operate in. So here is Pakatan coming in with the same promise to eradicate corruption, but they do not have the history or the experience of being corrupt. Maybe in the state governments that they run, there are elements of corruption, but not as far back, as far-reaching as the experience of Barisan, who has been in power for such a long time. So in this respect, this is why I think when people out there read the two manifestos, they will say that actually both are promising more or less the same thing, but the people who I have spoken to, at least, they are saying they believe Pakatan's promises more when it comes to eradicating corruption, because they have not seen the same level of corruption in
They don't
Pakatan.
Have that history,
they
though.
Don't
yeah,
have
they
that
have
history,
yeah.
yes. So this is why I think perception matters, and people perceive Pakatan in a different way that they perceive Barisan.
Okay. So in summary, if you were going to the polls and you are taking a look at both manifestos, what would your advice be to someone? What should they look out for? What should they be analysing when they're making the decision about who to vote for?
Okay, I'm going to be a little bit different here, in the sense that I have been asking for a policy-based debate to happen in Malaysia for quite a long time, and the fact that we are debating manifestos, we're discussing manifestos of two parties, I think it's a good thing. Unfortunately, the reality that we have today is the two manifestos are really very similar in content and in spirit. So there's not much that we can use to say, okay, this manifesto is better than the other. But what I would do is I would go out there and decide based on who I feel I can trust a bit more.
So you're saying it's based on a gut feeling rather than policies at this point?
Unfortunately, yes, because the similarities are so much. But maybe if you want to go into the details, you want to go into bullet point 1 versus bullet point 3 of the two manifestos, then yes, you will see some differences here and there. But the big picture is they're so similar. And when you have two very similar things, this is a red pen, this is also a red pen. How do you decide? You just decide based on appearances and price, maybe. So unfortunately for me, yes, I'm happy that at last we are debating policy issues, but at the same time I'm frustrated because the policies being proposed by the two sides are very similar to each other.